Good morning. We're back in Austin. We just braved the long way down 5 floors down with all of our luggage in an elevator. But some of us packed a little too much. So it starts at 8 today, the hearing, and we are much more prepared than last time. We don't feel all those jitters like we were feeling for being a first-time testifier. And we're excited. We're ready. We got our 40 copies of our testimony. We've practiced. We know it's 2 minutes. And we're excited to go. So we're going to get there at 6:40. And yeah, we know what we're doing now. We're pros. And we're excited to go advocate for better direct care wages in our IDD group homes. And this is just the first of many things that we want to advocate about, and we're excited to.
Is that Forrest Frank?
We're excited to do good things for our community with disabilities. All right, we made it. We're excited. Made it to the parking garage, and we're about to head in. So today we came also with Shelley, one of our board members at Rehoboth Acres, and Rebecca. And Rebecca is the one who really introduced me to what advocating looks like at the Capitol and with state representatives. Her brother, Jim, lives in the San Antonio State Supported Living Center, and she's an incredible advocate and caretaker of him. So there's power in numbers. We're here. Let's do this. I bring my children because how else will they learn to advocate? They will be the ones when John and I are gone. They'll be the ones to advocate for Jude and Mabel. And this is how you teach. You bring them alongside of you, and you let them watch, you let them observe, and then they carry the torch when you can't anymore. All right, we're about here at the rotunda. It's so beautiful.
Move the camera down, move the camera down.
Okay.
Do you want me to take a picture of you teaching?
Yes, I would love that.
Yay, look at that. So cool.
All right, we got registered, and we think that we're going to be able to go a lot sooner than we went last time, because come to find out, you can register online, and we did not realize that. So we ran into our friend Erin, who works for the Texas Council of Community Centers, and she is a pro. So she helped us get registered, and now we wait for them to open the doors, and we'll go in there and sit, wait quietly, and advocate. All right, we got our water, right, Hazel?
It's so good.
And we're ready to do this. We actually kind of know where we're going this time. Sort of. Not really. But we look like we know where we're going this time. Right, Hazel?
Thank you.
Well, we're disappointed because we got here early, we did all the things right, and then come to find out they have to be on the House floor at 8:45, but they had to be done with that first part of the hearing so they could be on the House floor at 9. So you could hear like just the size in the room when they said that, because everyone had come prepared early to be able to testify early and move on with our day, but that's not going to happen. So they will not come back to the hearing probably until after lunch. So such is Capitol life, I guess. pretty unpredictable. Hopefully we'll be one of the first after lunch and we can head back. All right, we came back to the car because we need to grab a couple of things, but goodbye cute shoes. Hello comfortable shoes. I can't do it anymore. Hazel, you think you're longer than we thought. It's okay. It's a great
I hope we get to
experience.
eat a lot of stuff. Like some like cool photos.
We will. We will. All right, we're back. We've had lunch. We've rested up. We're waiting on the committee to return from recess, and then we'll get our names called and we will get this done.
Direct care providers cook, clean, assist with toileting, maintain order and keep up and keep safe with 3 very active teens. I also heard their stories, the violent episodes by panicked teens, scratches, bites, and even one reported a hospitalization. It was a thankless job and I praised them whenever I could. I was blown away by the care, and in 3 months I saw my son improving due to the attention and routine he was receiving. I did everything I could to keep him in this group home, but unfortunately he doesn't have boundaries and became unsafe after he got into a neighbor's home, and he was sent to SSLC in Lufkin for closer monitoring, where he is today. I am here pleading with you to increase these direct care provider wages. What they do, what they risk for these vulnerable individuals is beyond most any professional I've seen. Most, if not all, of my son's care providers were working overtime, driving older cars, had families to provide for on a very meager wage. I would love for my son to come home to his own community when he is safer, but with so many group homes closing due to insufficient funding and the inability to find good help, I'm not sure that will be possible. I appeal to your conscience for our vulnerable. They are performing a holy assignment, these healthcare providers, and they need to know we care enough to pay them for their work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any questions? Hello, I'm Laney Wooten, and I'm the founder and president of Rehoboth Acres. We're a new organization that seeks to provide a day program and facility for people with intellectual disabilities. But this is my story. I'm from Longview. I'm a wife and mother to 7 children. On January 1st, 2022, I drove my autistic son Jude to the Terrell State Hospital. We were separated for the first time, and because of his disability, I could not explain why I was suddenly disappearing from his life. Jude's growing body was getting too big for my husband to hold back during his violent meltdowns. And though we had over 50 hours a week of care through the HCS waiver, keeping him in our home was not safe anymore. We looked on the HCS list for a group home, but we were denied by multiple providers who stated that they were unequipped to handle our son. And the safest option was to admit him to the Lufkin State Supported Living Center. Jude was only 13. Though the separation was traumatic, the incredible SSLC staff gave Jude a life-changing turnaround, and on January 21st of this year, he was discharged and our family was reunited. My son should never have had to leave his community, but low direct care wages prevented a local group home from being an option for him. A provider once told me that he had staff working 60-hour weeks just to make ends meet. I can tell you this from experience, burnout diminishes quality of care. I believe that an hourly pay rate increase to $19 will ensure our DSPs stay mentally sharp, rested, and invested. The $19 pay rate increase you gave to the Lufkin SSLC last session not only stabilized their workforce, it stabilized my son. If a worker is worth his wages, what does $10.60 an hour communicate to our DSPs? I have seen the bloody marks on their bodies left by my son, the blue gloves on their hands as they walk into a restroom to keep him clean. I've seen them wipe food from Jude's face to protect his dignity, all while telling me how much they love him. As a mother, I value their work, and I know God does. Do you? If we believe in the sanctity of life from the womb to the tomb, we must prove it with our actions. Thank you. And I want to address something that Representative Manuel said. You said, how did it affect, you asked Jamie, Travis this question: how did it affect the mental health of a child to go into the State Supported Living Center? My son was so traumatized by the separation from his family. We are a very tight-knit family. He fell into major depression. So much so that he was in his room, blinds closed, would refuse to eat. He lost a lot of weight. He refused to come out, wanted lights off. And the current psychiatrist at that time said, we're going to give him 2 days on this antidepressant. And if he doesn't turn things around, we're going to have to send him back to Terrell to do like brain shock therapy. It was that severe. And thankfully, 2 days on sertraline turned things around for him. But it deeply affected his mental health. He does not want to go back. He has separation anxiety from us, even though they do a tremendous job at the SSLCs. It is no fault of their own, but there should have been a community option for him close to us so that we could support him and see him more often, because we could only get down there so much, raising lots of children and it being an hour and 40 minutes away.
Thank you. Any questions? Representative Manuel?
Yeah, sorry, this is another huge passion of mine, because we made that mistake with my godson, not knowing he was autistic and not realizing he wasn't being a brat. He just was scared.
Yeah.
And so I want to ask you, how, based upon your son's experience, how, on a level of 1 to 10, how much fear would you say he must have felt having to have left and not knowing you were there, or when you would come back, or if there was an emergency, you would be there?
Yeah, I mean, 10 or more. I mean, we started doing home visits when it was safe, and then we had a hard time getting him back in the car to go back. And at one point, we had to take him to the ER to just get him medicated, and Lufkin had to drive to come get him, and it was a very traumatic separation. They're pulling him off of me. It was traumatic for me as a mother. I mean, I was like sobbing in the parking lot. So yeah, I mean, he asked for us all the time, and it ripped my heart out as a mother. I mean, that separation will forever and always, I mean, it shaped our family, which is why we're doing what we're doing. And yeah, and just so you know, we can't be a Medicaid provider because the rates are so low, Rehoboth Acres. So we are going to be private, a nonprofit, and get our support from our local donors, because the headache of all the paperwork and all the red tape to get these low reimbursement rates, and we want to be a facility that offers higher ratios. We want to do what the state supported living centers are doing. Like, it was a really good experience for us to see the kind of care they were giving to these kids. I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about our experience in Lufkin. They gave him a life-changing turnaround. Just wish it could have been in Longview, Texas, the place he asked for every single day. Longview, mama, daddy, Longview, mama, daddy. For 3 years. 3 years he was there.
And also, I want to follow up on that, because sometimes I think our areas that people don't consider rural, but we are considered rural because we're a larger metropolitan in the desert. People think, oh, they can live off of $10 a month. I mean, not $10, but $10 an hour.
Yeah.
And so I guess, to me, asking you this question as a parent, if you had to choose between working at a Buc-ee's to feed your family, or working and you knowing everything you know now, but you had to feed your family, would you choose to work in one of these places knowing you're going to do good, you're going to save these children, or would you sacrifice your family, or sacrifice, which place would you go to if you had to feed your family today? This was your only means, working there or working at a Buc-ee's or a convenience store, or at a Jason's Deli, or any place.
I go where I could feed my family. Yeah.
And that's the decision, I'm assuming, your constituents, your family, friends, community make, just like every other community is making. It's not a choice of, I just want to lay down and just have a Mai Tai every day and not care. I'm just assuming you just can't live off of that. And these children can't get services off of that. And it leads from one trauma to another trauma to another trauma, and then a family is forced to reshape in trauma.
Yes, exactly. DSPs, paraprofessionals, they are some of the greatest humans on the planet, and they deserve more.
thank you so much for everything you're doing. Appreciate it. And thank you for sticking up for areas like ours where we are often forgotten because we're not in that 20-mile radius of a major metropolitan city.
Yeah.
And we need that help.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rebecca. I'm here representing my brother, but I'm also on the board of Rehoboth Acres. I live in East Texas as well. But my brother is currently living at San Antonio State Supported Living Center. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about his story. I'd love to have him closer to me someday. My 48-year-old brother, Jim, has severe intellectual disabilities and autistic behaviors. He functions at a 3-year-old level. It's difficult to condense all we've been through, so I'll jump to the last few years. In 2010, our mother passed away from brain cancer, and my dad continued to care for Jim on his own until it wore his body and mind down, and he could no longer do it. In 2019, my dad moved into an apartment so that my brother could stay in his home, and I turned it into a group home. I took over guardianship and selected a group home provider to manage his needs with around-the-clock staff. It was extremely difficult for her to find people willing to do the job. Group home staff, as you know, are expected to do an impossible job. In any given home, there are around 4 residents and 1 staff. This caregiver is expected to not only cook, clean, do laundry, administer medications, help with showering and other hygiene needs, but also manage very difficult behaviors with not 1, but 4 special needs adults. If taking care of my brother was a full-time job for my mom and dad, why would we think someone else could do it all times 4? And why would we think they're only worth $10.80 an hour or $12 an hour? Many of these group home workers do not have specialized training dealing with some of the behaviors they are expected to manage because paid trainings are not in the budget. When behaviors become unmanageable, ultimately some of these residents, like my brother, must go to the SSLCs, which cost more money. Sadly, he completely lost his vision in 2021, which was catastrophic to his mental health, and our provider staff could not manage his behaviors. I'm hearing more and more about group home residents who are having to move to SSLCs, and I have to wonder if it could have been prevented if group homes had been better paid and trained staff. We absolutely have to do better to attract, train, and retain good people who are willing to do a difficult job. They deserve our respect, admiration, and compensation. To do less is to invite abuse and neglect on a vulnerable population and ultimately cost the state more when it's forced to deal with crisis situations that force moves to SSLCs.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Okay, so we finished up. We waited all day long, but it was worth it, right, guys?
Absolutely.
Totally worth it. These ladies did so great. These are my sisters and my daughter. And it was a blessing. It's really cool to get to hear all the other testimonies and why people are there. And it's just so enriching and eye-opening. It's empowering. It's a reminder of the wonderful nation that we live in. Not perfect, but we still have the freedom to be a part of, you know, all the changes and all the great freedoms that we have here in this nation. So it was a really good day. It was much longer than last time, but totally worth it. Until next time, see you guys later.